Grudon8 said, if people endlessly spammed your channel comments to get the answer to this extremely bad game that doesn't deserve reference that you mentioned earlier, would you give up and tell them? I would do them the service of never telling. TrilogyLegend says, RTS or FPS? Well, I guess between those two, FPS, because if all RTSs were around as good as StarCraft, I'd probably go for RTS, but there's a lot of really bad RTSs out there, and there's a lot of really good FPSs out there. CookedPork says, if you were to make a game, what would be the overall feel be? By that I mean gameplay, story sense. Fallout 3 has a survival, apocalyptic feel, so what kind would your game have? Well, I might not want to give away too many secrets, depending, but God, I haven't even thought about that for a long time. Oh, okay, I'll go back to what I was thinking at the time. Okay, by that I mean gameplay. Okay, gameplay story sense. So I guess you're saying survival apocalyptic. Okay, so I have actually not thought about it on that. Oh, yes, I have. The game Excelsior, which I doubt any of you have ever played, Lysis Threadia Phase 1 or whatever it's called, is based on realm travelers. Basically people that go from world to world and trying to undo the issues that occur in a given realm. Now, the thing that limits a lot of role-playing games is they have to stay human. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot to do that. Be right back. Okay. They have to stay human. You have a certain power at the beginning of the game, and you can take out, let's say, goblins and rats and stuff like that. And then you get really powerful, and in the end, you're killing dragons. But you can't really end up, they don't really make anything much harder than a Hakai or a dragon, etc., etc. Because if you were just taking out, like, 250 dragons in one fell sweep or something like that, they just don't do that. They don't give you the ability to continue growing exponentially. But with realm travel, having realms where you start out in a weak realm until you feel ready to go into the next realm where there's just this totally new rule set, same abilities that you've got that you learned in the last one that you can apply to this new world with all new, more powerful creatures and stuff like that. That gives you a freedom. So I really like the realm theory, because a lot of times games are only good during that period where you're like, wow, I could only kill goblins before, and I've already taken down one dragon, all by my lonesome. So that progression is the stirring spoon of role-playing games. So if I was to, I would want a game that continued that stirring spoon. I don't know why I call it stirring spoon, but the churning, the drive, there we go. The Peterlong, why is water wet? Okay, so a couple questions is, one, why is water liquid? Because of pressure and because of the chemical structure of water. That's why it's liquid. Now, mercury is liquid, but it's not really wet. And there are things that are wetter than water. Wetter, okay. But why is water wet? I'm guessing it has to do with the, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the molecular size of water. Could be totally wrong. It could be totally wrong. But when you have a small molecular size, it has can I say a greater fluidity? I don't know how to, that's not what I mean. That's not, but yeah, it causes more of a wet thing. I wonder if glass is considered wet. I don't know. Silicon, is it just silicon? Is it just, or S2? or Si2, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what glass is made up of. Yeah. Probably just making it up randomly, calling it Si2. It's probably just silicon. Yeah, that's right. It's a hex structuralized thing of silicon, I think. And that's why it melts and all that. Although I guess everything melts, sort of. Okay, moving on. OCAN 931. Oh, well, actually, before I continue on, sorry, OCAN. Why is water liquid? The whole air pressure thing. If you take a glass of water or a cup of water or whatever, and you put it in a vacuum chamber, and you pump all of the air out of this vacuum chamber, make it, if maybe not a perfect vacuum, a really close vacuum, all of the water in it will boil until it freezes. It's very strange. Basically, water, normal temperature water, is composed of different kinds of molecules. Some of the molecules in water are moving very slowly. Those ones are somewhere around the freezing temperature, or I think the freezing temperature might go up, or something like that when it gets when it becomes a vacuum. I'm not sure about that. But basically, some of that water is at a point. The only reason it's not frozen is because there's fast-moving particles that are smacking into it and keeping it from being able to go frozen, to completely stop moving. So you got a whole bunch of fast-moving particles and a whole bunch of slow-moving particles. And the only reason that the fast-moving particles aren't gas is because it's got a whole bunch of air on top of it pushing it down. And in a way, those fast-moving liquid particles, otherwise water vapor, the reason that it seems like it's water, that it seems like it's staying on the surface, and it mostly is because it is kind of like two layers of gas, where you've got air up above, and that layer of air is pushing all of the water vapor back down. It's not doing a perfect job. That's what evaporation is. But it's the air that's pushing these water molecules that are heavier back down as soon as they come up and whatnot. So as soon as you take away the air, all of those molecules that were fast enough to be gas go off, so they boil off, and all that's left are the slow-moving cold molecules, and those all froze. So you can boil water until it freezes without using any heat source at all. Okay, so OCAN 931 says, do you like the movie 2012? I've never seen it. OCAN 391 says, do you like fireworks? I used to love fireworks, now I like them a little bit, or like them moderately. OCAN 391 says, what do you want for Fallout 4 to come out, and are you going to review it if it comes out? I don't think I'm going to review it, and do I want it to come out? If it's different, I guess New Vegas is sort of Fallout 4. They might come out with Fallout 4 after this anyway. Stop yawning, darn it. So, but I definitely want it to be different, because I think Fallout 3 is expansive enough that I don't need the same game. It's kind of like Saints Row 2. I don't really need a brand new game that's just like Saints Row 2, that's a whole new, that's the same gameplay. I want it to be different. Now, what's kind of interesting is I say that about that, but with the GTA games, the earlier ones, there wasn't. San Andreas and Vice City, both of those, you definitely got to the end of the game, and you're like, I do kind of wish there was more. Although San Andreas takes a long time to get all the territories and stuff like that. It's annoying. And always being in combat, always everything. It's like you can't do anything but the territories.